We're
Hello.
good to go.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome, everybody. First, I want to say thank you for joining the meeting. You know, 2020 was a tough year for everybody, trying to figure out how to do business, right? And one of the things that we prided ourselves on was doing resident manager training. Right? We would have quarterly meetings. We would have resident managers come into the office. We'd feed them breakfast. We'd have guest speakers, and everybody left with hopefully some information that helped them manage the property a little bit better. Obviously, last year we couldn't do that, and so we wanted to try something different. So with a lot of help from Leimana in putting this together, we decided that let's try this by Zoom. Let's give good information, but let's do it in a different format that allows more people to participate. And so Sue Savio and Anthony Nelson, Sue Savio everybody knows for Insurance Associates, and Anthony Nelson from Premier Restoration are going to give us some great information today. So first I want to introduce some of the Emmys from the Kona office. We have Nora Rhodes, we have Michelle Lifty, we have Kelly Del Mar, Melissa Kissamore, Matthew Gaskill, and of course the infamous Michael Kennedy. Again, Leimana, thank you very much for hosting this and putting it all together. So what we felt was important, and this is why we invited board members this time. If we have information that we think is critical, not only for the resident manager to understand, but also for board members. Sometimes the resident managers need the board members to back them up, and the best way to have them back them up is understand the same thing they do. And I think one of the things that probably stresses all of us out the most is water damage, right? It's a stressful process for everybody involved. And so what we did was we brought some people that can help us navigate through this stress. Sue is going to handle the insurance part of it and explain who's responsible for what and how the process works. And then we have the wonderful company, Premier Restoration, and Anthony Nelson is going to let you know how his company can help you from the process from start to finish. So if we could make sure, if you haven't done it already, please mute yourself. And then they were also gracious enough to give us some raffle prizes. So there will be raffle prizes at the end. We want to hold your attention to the end. We're going to hold you hostage. You must be present to win. So if you want some great stuff, wait till the end of the presentation and we're going to do a raffle prize. So without further ado, Sue Savio from Insurance Associates.
Thank you, Michael. Nice introduction. So today I'm going to be talking about claims, ins and outs, what to know before, during, and after. And it is a process that we all have to get used to. Let me move there we go. Sorry, my thing wasn't working. Okay, first thing is to understand what we cover. We cover the property, okay? All property policies, whether you're homeowners, your HO6, or whether the master policy provides coverage for fire, lightning, hail, windstorm, not necessarily hurricane. Hurricane's a separate peril, okay? Smoke damage, and it goes right down. And if you look at the very last one, water overflow, sudden and accidental from a domestic plumbing system. This is where 99% of our claims come from. Oh, every now and then we have a fire, or every now and then we have some wind damage. But most of the claims are water overflow, sudden and accidental. Our agency on the average files 7 to 10 a day. Okay, gives you an indication of how many there are. And it is important to know that your HO6 policy for board members and condo unit owners covers the same perils we do, okay? It covers water overflow, sudden and accidental. We cover it for different items, and I'm going to go into that, but you must understand that why your HO6 is so important. Your personal policy is called an HO6. It is very important to have one. It is very important to make sure you have adequate coverage on it, not by the cheapest, but by what you need, because you will have a claim someday and you will be charged and you will need that policy to help you, because the master policy cannot get you back to square one. Okay, so those are the perils we cover, and they are important that you match your policy, your HO6, to the same thing. So we talked about the HO6. That's for condo unit owners. And it does not matter whether you live in your unit or you rent it out. You can still have an HO6. In the old days, before 2008, you could not have an HO6 if you were a landlord. But you can now, and you need to buy an HO6. Don't cheap out and buy a fire policy and a liability, because the fire policy will not have all the coverages that the HO6 does. So important to buy an HO6. State Farm doesn't call it an HO6, but they'll sell you it. The master condo policy, it's the AOL policy. It's the one you pay for in your maintenance fees. Both of those policies together work on any type of claim, including water claims. The HO6 policy, it's for people who own a condo. It covers your upgrades, okay, made by you or a current owner. Don't tell us, well, I bought the unit, it was already gussied up. I didn't know I had to insure those things. Not when you bought it, but as originally built is the master policy. HO6 takes care of upgrades. It takes care of your contents. Water damages contents. It takes care of the association's deductible. If you cause the claim or your unit causes it, the association is going to charge you the deductible. So if there's a $5,000 deductible or a $10,000 deductible and your water heater or ice maker leaks or whatever the case may be, you will be charged that. You don't want to have to come up with $5,000 or $10,000. You want your insurance company to pay that. Okay, so it's important that you have this HO6. And of course, it covers your liability. If you slip and fall, you're out golfing, you hit somebody with a golf ball, the HO6 is what takes care of you. Okay, the master condo policy covers the building as built. Means, but at today's replacement cost. Don't panic, all of you who think, my God, it was built in the 70s. You're going to give me Formica and long shag carpet? No, we're going to give you enough money at today's price to put the unit back as originally built, okay? We're going to cover the association's business personal property, not yours, unit owners, but the lobby furniture, things of that sort that the association may have. We're going to cover the RM's, the resident manager's unit if it's owned, okay? If it's one that they're renting, we handle that a little differently. And we're going to cover the upgrades made to the resident manager's unit if owned. That's what the master policy covers, okay? Now you have a claim. We've seen this one many times. Your washing machine overflows under the HO6, does not pay for the extraction, okay? It doesn't pay for, it does pay for the damage to your upgrades. It does pay your damage to your contents, okay? And it does pay for the association's deductible. We do not repair the appliance, nor does your HO6. I have many people sending me the plumber's bill thinking, well, why not? Because just like your car insurance doesn't repair when your car brakes fail, but when you hit the wall, we cover the damage to the wall and to your car, but we don't pay for fix your brakes. Appliance repairs or pipe repairs, if it's your pipe, is your responsibility as a condo unit owner. If it's a common element pipe that backs up, then the association will pick up that plumbing bill. But the damage done to the building, okay, your upgrades rather, damage to your upgrades and to your contents and to your loss of use is what your HO6 policy is going to do. Now, okay, so here's the fire claim we're talking about. So what does the master policy does? The master policy covers the cost of cleaning this up. So whether it's water or fire, we're going to take care of the extraction and drying out of the unit. We're going to pay for the repairs for the as-built, okay? And we're going to cover the smoke damage to the building, units, hallways, because smoke goes up and around, water goes down. So depending upon where this unit is, we may have 1 unit damaged, we may have 10 units damaged. The master policy covers the extraction drying of all units. It pays for the repairs to the as-built, and it covers the smoke damage to the building, okay? So how do we handle claims? And I did a speech once about 8 steps to claim happiness, if there were such a thing. Okay, step number 1, stop the cause of the claim, okay, of the damage. Stop the damage, shut the water off, okay? Stop the fire. If it's the ice maker toilet, building main line, I don't care where it is, shut the water off, okay? Fire or smoke, call the fire department. Slip and fall, take a picture of the area, then fix it. So this is sort of like for my general managers and resident managers. This is what you need to do, the very first thing. Don't call me yet, but call the fire department, you know, take pictures, call the plumber, whatever the case may be. And don't say, well, it's not my pipe, I don't want to call the plumber. Just because you call the plumber does not mean you're going to pay the plumbing bill. We don't know yet what's leaking. And if plumber says it's a common element, we're going to shoot the bill to the association. If you're the unit above's pipes are usually in your ceiling, and you say, well, it's not my pipe, it's the unit above, it doesn't matter. The plumber has to come into your unit. He has to break open your ceiling. He has to repair the pipe in your unit for the unit above. Let the plumber in. Call the plumber. He needs to fix the pipe. He needs to stop the water. The bill will go to the correct person who has to pay it. Just because you call the plumber does not mean you have to pay it. And I say that to my resident managers out there as well, because many times you don't want to call because then you feel like the association's got to pay the bill. And that is not so. Plumbers are very good about letting us know whose pipe this is, common element or not. So those are the important things we must do there. So we're going to stop the cause of the claim. Oh, my thing moved. Number 2, write up an incident report for those of you who are property managers, general managers, site managers, resident managers. We need an incident report, okay? Even if you don't know much, start an incident report. Get the names, numbers, contact information for each. More details, the better. Okay, even if you know it's going to be below the deductible, let's say we have a $25,000 deductible, you've estimated it's going to be about $10,000, still write up that incident report, still send it to us because you never know where it's going to end up because there may be hidden damage and before you know it, we're above it and then we can't remember what happened. So always best to write up an incident report. Next, remind owners to file an HO6 claim. Ladies and gentlemen, do not say, I don't want to file a claim. Why didn't cause this claim? Why should I file a claim? You have to file a claim. The purpose of your HO6 is to protect you. And if you don't file a claim, you're going to be short possibly, but you may say, well, I have no damage, Sue. I don't want to file a claim. It looks bad on my record. The insurance companies know that when you live in condo land, you get zapped by other people quite often. They will understand that you may have no damage, but you don't know that yet. You may have to move out because when they come in to clean they may find mold or asbestos and they say you got to move out. That's your policy, loss of use. So it really is important that you file the claim the same time the association is, okay? And don't worry, your insurance company is not going to get hysterical and raise your rates because homeowners' rates are filed in our state. Every insurance company has to put them into the insurance commissioner. He has to approve them. So I can't just pick on you like with car insurance and charge you a higher rate. I have to show that all my HO6 policies, which most insurance companies could show last year, are losing money and that I need a rate increase. And so many of you will see that most insurance companies last year had an increase in your HO6 premiums and they deserved it because for the $200 and $300 they were covering, they were picking up all these large deductibles. And they showed that they lost, you know, that for every dollar they paid, they maybe paid out 3 or 4. Well, nobody stays in business doing that on their HO6s, not on their HO3s for single family homes, but on their condo policies. Every insurance company lost money last year. One went in for an 80% increase. Insurance commissioner says there's no doubt you deserve an 80, but we're only giving you 20. So they have to make a decision. Do we continue on with HO6s? That's how many claims we have, okay? So remind the owners to file it. The HO6 adjuster has to get involved. We cover your upgrades, contents, loss of use, and of course the deductible, which we've talked about. And item number 4, send the incident report to the agent, to the insurance agent, me, if I'm your agent, okay? Even if it's below the deductible, I want it. I want it in my files. I want to hopefully just leave it there and not worry about it. But if it rears its ugly head, I've got it. Cooperate. I can't stress to you how much adjusters need your help. They want the governing docs because the docs of the condo tell them what they have to insure. And 99% of our docs say as originally built. But every now and then you run across something that says, we cover as built, but we didn't put in cabinets or it came with no flooring. I have condos that you got an interior space and except for the pipes that came up that told you where your toilet and sinks had to go, everything else you could do on your own. So they need to know what they're insuring. And the master policy is just broad enough to say we're insuring this condo. And then when there's a claim, they need your governing docs, okay? When you get a check after the claim, we've all just done their things. We're now sending you the check minus the deductible. Please deposit the check. even if you don't know what to do with it yet, because it's usually stale dated after so many days. So don't leave it on your desk, property managers and site managers. Deposit it. Then you can always email your agent for help to say, I got this check. How do I divvy it out? We'll help you with that, but please deposit the check. Assessment letter. What happens next is we've got to determine who's going to pay the deductible. 99% of the times the association is not going to pay it. It's going to be assessed either to a unit owner because his appliance leaked, or it's going to be assessed to all the units involved getting money from the claim. So it's really important you understand to get this assessment letter out, because we have 3 ways we can pay the deductible. So 514B gives us this power, gives the board the power, not me, gives the board the power to determine if the association pays it, if the causative owner pays it, or if they split it amongst all the owners. Now I have a condo and I was charged a portion of the deductible, even though I was an innocent unit owner at the bottom of the pile of the leak. They still took out, it was a large deductible, they still took out $1,000 from my proceeds and said, sorry, Sue, even though you're innocent, we're subtracting out because we're using number 3, split it amongst the owners. I understood that. I can take that letter to my own HO6 carrier and they can make up that difference. Or I can just say, I don't want to put it on my carrier. I'll just accept the fact that I'm $1,000 short. It's your decision, unit owners. Number 8, when in doubt, call, email the agent for help. I stress this to property managers, site managers, general managers. Please always feel free to call us for help. We are here. We want to be the only service we can offer besides going out to bid and getting you the best deal we can with quality carriers is to help at claims time or to help in between. So that's what your agent's job is. So we want to help you with claims because we want you to get that check out because we want the owners off our back as much as you want them off of yours, okay? So sending them the proceeds of the claim is the best way. So best way to claim happiness, don't have any claims. But unfortunately, 7 to 10 a day and rising, it ain't gonna happen, okay? So put your roof on inspection contract. You can't imagine how helpful that is for those of you in the property management business. If you could just put your roofs on an inspection contract, have the guy go out every 6 months, once a year. Your pipes, the same thing. Put them on an inspection contract, have them spot checked, do a high-risk plumbing inspection. That saves a lot of claims because the plumber goes in. I had it happen in my condo. He said, Sue, your water heater is rusting out at the bottom. Now, if you think I'm getting down to look underneath my water heater, you're dreaming, and no owner does. But this guy did it as part of the service. He says, yours is all rusted. It's going to break soon. Well, I had a unit on the 7th floor. I was not interested in trashing the neighbors below me. I told him, you get back there ASAP and you replace that. He says, well, you need a quote. I said, I don't care what it is. Get it done. And ASAP, because I don't want to be the person. Imagine how that sounds to people below. Oh, your insurance agent's unit spilt water all over you. Yeah, right. Clean out your pipes, please, please, please. If they're not so frail that they'll fall apart, have somebody clean out your pipes on an annual basis. Or maybe it's time to face the fact, ladies and gentlemen, and I understand because I own condos, that it's time to maybe bite the bullet and actually replace your pipes because your building's 35, 40. I had a 50-year-old building do it. You're going to have to bite the bullet at some point in your life. And even though COVID makes it difficult, it's something we're going to have to consider. So basically, I'm done. Thank you for your time and your interest.
I love it, Sue. I think I giggle more watching you present than anybody else because I just love the way that you convey everything. It's so awesome.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sue. Thank you for your time. You are amazing. And if you don't insure with Sue, either for your association or for your homeowners, consider it because the one thing that you need from insurance, right? If they're all created equal coverage and cost the same, to me, what the most important thing is when you have a claim, you want somebody that's going to fight for you to get this thing resolved. And from my experience, Sue is a tiger. I'd hate to go against her. If she was a lawyer, I would never want to get in trouble unless she was on my side. So, one thing I forgot to mention, and Anthony put out a nice little thing in the chat box. If you do have questions for Sue or Anthony later, feel free to put them in the chat box. If we don't have time to answer them today, we'll gather those questions, and Sue will send you a response at 3 in the morning. And Anthony will get it to you. So thank you again, Sue. Can't tell you how much I appreciate all your help with this. So the next speaker we have is Anthony Nelson from Premier Restoration. Anthony, take it away.
Right on. All right. Thanks, Michael. Sue, can I ask you a couple questions? I had a couple questions from your presentation. Is that all right?
Yeah.
So, and some of these are just fun and kind of anecdotal that, you know, I don't know, they just pop into my brain. You know, a lot of the times we get a lot of questions around like how boards are assessing the deductibles. And obviously there's a variety of ways that the boards can assess those deductibles. In your experience, what do you see the most common way that boards are choosing to assess the deductible? Is it unit of origin, or is it across the affected units?
If they can do unit of origin, that's what they do, because they feel that's the most fair. You cause the accident, Sue, you get stuck with the whole deductible. And if you didn't buy enough insurance, too bad, so sad, because they know I should have an HO6 and get reimbursed from my carrier. When they can't charge it to one unit because it was a backup in the common element pipes, you don't know who put the diaper down or the bottle down or whatever caused, or the toy, they say, then too bad, so sad, everybody, you're all going to share in the claim. And that's the reality of the situation. So number one is always the causative unit. And after that, it is to share it amongst the owners, getting proceeds from the claim.
Cool. Thank you, Sue. I think that's valuable information for the board members that are on the call that might have to make that decision someday.
Oh, yeah.
And then my next question for you, and I think you ended up addressing it in your presentation, but one of the things that we see a lot is, you know, loss of use and adjusted living expense. What policy is primary for that for a unit owner in a claim, in the event of a claim?
It is always the unit owner policy. The master policy has no interest in the rent that a landlord gets or the use of the unit. That is a personal item. It's always under the HO6, loss of use or rental income. And so and people have a tendency to just buy $1,000 a month. So they have $12,000. I don't know of a unit you can rent for $1,000 anymore. So if you're only running around with $12,000 and you realize that your unit rents or should be at $3,000 or $4,000 or whatever the case may be, you need to talk to your agent and buy a realistic figure. An HO6 is a relatively inexpensive policy compared to the master policy, but it is full of wonderful things in it that protect you as a condo unit owner.
Awesome. Thank you. And yeah, if I'm a board member, I'm definitely wanting to know that, because I'm sure if anybody's had a claim in their building, how many times do you get that question? Well, I had my unit rented out over this time, or my tenants had to move. Who's going to pay for that? And so that answers very clearly the unit owner's policy.
Right.
Awesome. Thanks, Sue. All right, I will go ahead and get my screen sharing here. And then while I'm getting my screen up, I'll go ahead and do some introductions from our team. So on the call today, you have Laimana, who is in charge of business development for Premier Restoration locally in Big Island. She's awesome. I don't know if anybody's had the time to spend 5 minutes talking story with her, but it's always a wonderful time. And then sitting right next to her is Brent Bennett, who's our general manager in Big Island. Brent comes with a whole host of experience. Brent started with me and a few of the other foundational members back in 2010. And so there's not a lot of questions that Brent doesn't have the answers to from a technical perspective. And he's also a fun guy to have a beer with. And then you have Kira, who is our marketing manager, Lauren, who is our general manager of sales and marketing, and then myself, president of Premier. I'd like to just take the opportunity to thank everybody for giving us the opportunity to talk to you today. And hopefully I try and put together my presentations in a way that is relevant to whoever I'm presenting to. So this one is kind of a cut and paste of a number of different presentations. But when I put it together, I was asking myself the question, if I was a board member, what would I want to know? Like if I had my base knowledge and experience in property restoration, what were the things that I wanted to know? So that's what this is written from. And then I would encourage you, I know I put it in the chat, but I always feel like these presentations are way more impactful, and you take a lot more away from them if you're asking questions. So please don't hesitate. If you have a question, put it in the chat, and we'll go ahead and make sure that that question gets answered. A little bit about us, for those of you who don't know, Premier Restoration Hawaii, we are on all 4 islands in the state. And one of the statistics that I'm very proud of is that we can service 98.6% of the entire population of the state of Hawaii within 2 hours. So for everybody in Big Island, yes, we can get to you in 2 hours. Yes, that means helo. This is our mission statement: making a difference daily by restoring the lives of people, businesses, and communities of Hawaii. It's something we take great pride in, and I feel that our team does very well.
Anthony, can I stop you for 1 second? I think we need to stop sharing Sue's screen and put yours up, because we're not seeing your screen.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Sue, I think you need to hit stop share, please.
All right. Let me see if I can grab it. Thanks for pointing that out, Michael. Do you guys see it now?
We've got a turtle feet and your personal email.
Yeah, that's what we have.
Turtle feet.
And we're reading it.
Yeah, let's see what you're doing.
Is that Kira? That's Kira.
Yeah, it says
That is not me, actually. I don't know whose email that is.
Dennis Array.
That's not my inbox or my computer screen, so I don't know what that is.
Here, I'm gonna try and take it over one more time.
Anybody else want to share their personal email while we're waiting?
Anthony, you're all good. You're on.
I'm all good. All right, cool. So let me go back a slide. I'll show you this, but yeah, this is our mission statement, and the reason why I put it up there is I feel like it speaks to our culture. And when we go to hire individuals to work with us on our teams, we're always trying to hire people that can take care of the emotional side of what we do, because it's the hardest part. And then we'll teach you the technical. Like, we can teach you how to take a building that's wet and make it dry, but I can't teach you how to remain patient and have compassion when somebody has just experienced a loss in their property. And so that's what's most important to us. All right, I went 2 slides ahead. So if I'm a board member, this is probably the thing that gives me the greatest concern. So if you have read this document, which is put out by the state, and it's kind of basically an interpretation of the Hawaii Revised Statutes as it applies to condominium buildings. This publication's from 2009. It hasn't been revised since then, but this rule still holds true. And so I'll read this real quick, just so we're all on the same page. So it says, the business judgment rule recognizes that volunteer board members will not always make the right decision, but if they follow the right procedures and act in the interest of the association, they will usually not be personally liable for their actions on behalf of the association. Board members should remember to follow the important points about the business judgment rule. I did not put all those points in there because a lot of them are very much so common sense. And if you are on a board, this is kind of an awesome document to just thumb through and be like, okay, what did I really get into when I said I would sit on the board of a condo association? But point 6 specifically states, do something. The rule will not protect you if you fail to act. If you do nothing, it should be only because you carefully considered the issue and consciously decided to do nothing, not because you ignored the issue in the hope that it would go away. Making the wrong decision may be less damaging than making no decision at all. And so the reason I share this with this group is because a lot of the times we walk into situations where there's this stalemate that exists between the association and the unit owners and a reluctance to move forward. Sue does a great job when she talks about it. And she's like, look, I call a plumber, like, get it fixed. Because, the reality is if the water keeps coming into that building over and over and over again, the problem doesn't get any better. It continues to get worse. And then the business judgment role kind of comes in and says, look, if you fail to act in this circumstance, there is the potential for personal liability. And that's not a situation we want for any board member. And I know that the staff at Hawaiiana is very rigorous and does a great job of making sure that they are forthcoming with information and they are trying to provide you everything that you need in order to make good decisions and move forward. So for us, what does that look like? And so, like I said, I asked the question through the lens of how could a restorer help board members, not just necessarily Premier Restoration, but kind of wanting to establish a baseline by which all restorers should be in a position to help the condo association and its board members. So for us, very simply, 24/7, 365 response. We put a lot of time and energy into making sure that we can get anywhere, pretty much anytime, any day. From redundancies to our phone systems to, like a remote response unit in Hilo, should that, call come in at 3 a.m. in Hilo. We want to make sure that we can be in a position to take care of your needs any time of the day. And the main reason for that speaks from this excerpt from the New York City Guidelines of Assessment and Remediation of Fungi in Indoor Environments. I'll paraphrase, but basically, if you have a clean water loss in one of your buildings, our process is pretty simple. We show up, we set up drying equipment, we take the wet stuff and we make it dry, and usually in a very invasive fashion. However, if that goes unnoticed or gets ignored, then there is the possibility that the category of water will degrade from clean to gray to black. And then that drywall that water impacted would go from a position where we can dry it to a position where we have to remove it. And usually, the New York City guideline says 24 to 48 hours, kind of in a real world example. We have seen mold grow as soon as 48 hours. Not very common. Usually it's around a week, but always bear in mind, there's a reason why we do 24/7, 365 response. It's because the sooner we get there, the greater the potential is for us to save everything that water has come into contact with. Some other services that we provide in a 24/7 capacity is critical cleaning. So if you have a sewage overflow, we will show up in the middle of the night, pressure wash, extract, and disinfect to make sure that all those hazards get removed. And then board up, securing the property. If you have a fire and the fire department has to take out a few windows, those are always circumstances where there's cause for liability exposure for the board members if it's left left open where people could walk in. And so we'll show up in the middle of the night with sheets of plywood to go ahead and secure windows to make sure that nobody who shouldn't be in your property is showing up and walking through it. So just to kind of put some clarity around the difference between category 1 and category 3 and why it is so important that you make that call in the middle of the night and we can show up and start extracting. So this is the basic steps for emergency response and getting a property clean, safe, and dry if it is a category 1 water loss. So for each step, at the end of that step, I put in parentheses the number of days required to perform that activity. So step 1, identify and isolate the source of loss. Usually we can do that within 15 minutes if it's not already done by the time we show up. Step 1, we'll extract the free water. So any water that we can get to with an extraction hose, we're going to go ahead and remove that because that is actually the fastest way to dry. It is not with air movers and dehumidifiers. If there's a puddle on the floor, I'm going to suck it up. Step 2, we'll perform the necessary demolition. That usually takes about a day in category 1 water losses, but a lot of the times the demolition is very minor. We might have to pull some baseboards, some other trim. So that goes pretty quickly, but can take up to a day. And then we'll monitor drying. And our average dry times is right around 4 days. Most of the smaller ones are 3 or 2. Some of the larger ones are 4 or 5, but usually around 4 days. And then we'll perform a final verification, moisture testing to make sure that everything was dried correctly. So this whole process for a category 1 water loss takes about 5 days. And so if we show up and we get started right away. Pretty simple process. Now, if you take that same category 1 water loss, the plumbing supply line that broke on the back of the toilet, and all you did was wait 5 days, you get this, which is a category 3 or mold water response. And obviously you can see there are a number of different steps that go into this, and it will take a significantly longer amount of time. So we're going to show up, we're going to identify and isolate the source of the loss. We'll perform an initial knockdown with disinfectant if we need to, extract the free water, establish a containment zone, and that'll allow us to keep whatever contaminants are present in that space that is contaminated already and prevent them from spreading to other areas. We'll stabilize the environment. And then usually step 5 is where we get stuck. Because if I show up in the middle of the night and I say, hey, I'm going to drop equipment and I'm going to dry this drywall, most people are like, awesome, get it done. But if I show up and I say, hey, this drywall has to get removed, then this whole chain of events starts going into place where people, they're like, okay, you're going to cut my drywall. That means I can't live here. That means I need to move. What am I going to do? And usually getting somebody to say, yes, it is okay to remove that drywall takes a few days. I put 5 in there as kind of a number that is average. Sometimes it takes 2 weeks. People are just not wanting us to do it. Then when we remove the contaminated building materials, pressure clean, disinfect, then we'll go ahead and dry. Then we'll verify the drying. We'll make sure that everything gets to a point to where it's dry. We'll perform our critical cleaning because now we have sewage, mold, all these other contaminants that are in the indoor space that we need to go ahead and address. Perform our post-remediation verification. What we do is have an independent third party come in, pull samples, and verify that our work is clean. And we'll receive our results and break down containment. You can see we went from 5 days to 16 days, only on a delay of a week. And so hopefully this makes sense on why it is so important that when you have that water event, you call somebody. And I'll speak on behalf of our Big Island team and say, look, even if you don't know what's leaking, you don't know what's wet, you don't know what's affected, and all you need is somebody to show up with moisture meters and an infrared camera and walk through and identify exactly what's wet so you can make an informed decision. We will do that free of charge every day, just so then that way you have the information you need as a board member or resident manager or property manager to make a good decision. So the next thing that how a restorer should help board members is with technical advice. We can provide a lot of knowledge and information on what the category of water is. And obviously, if you know what the category of the water is, you know how to respond. We can help you locate and identify the presence of hazardous materials, if there's any of those present. And if you're having a hard time identifying the source of the loss, all of our tricky, techie gadgets and gizmos are really, really good at seeing what building materials are wet. And usually if you know specifically what's wet, you can identify that source of the loss. So categories of water, I promised Laymana I would not dwell on this too much. As you can see, I enjoy the technical side of our business, but I heard you, I will go fast. So just so everybody knows, just baseline foundational knowledge. Category 1, this is what's referred to as a clean water loss. These are the water losses that originate from a sanitary source and don't pose any health risks or inherent health risks. You kind of have this middle category, which is category 2, contains significant contamination and has the potential to cause discomfort or sickness, but is in a situation where it can cause death. And that's kind of one of the delineating factors between category 2 and category 3. Now, category 3 is obviously grossly contaminated, pathogenic, toxinogenic, and can contain other harmful agents. And so you're going to want to make sure that you have the response for each of these categories that is appropriate. So one of the things that we'll be emailing everybody at the end of this presentation is this document that we put together, which is simply a material salvageability chart. You'll see for each material, we have what the response should be based on the category of water. ENV is environmental, which is code for mold. We try not to say mold in our business because that scares people. You don't have a mold problem. you have an environmental condition that needs to be taken care of. And then we also added a column for, should you consider testing that material for asbestos? Because some materials have the ability to contain asbestos, others don't. And so this kind of gives you a guideline of what you can or cannot save based on the category of water. When we shared this internally with our teams, our coordinators who were on the phone, and super, super useful. So we kind of turned it front facing for everybody that we're talking to in the marketplace, so you have information and can make good decisions. And then the third thing, how should a restorer help board members? Sue talks about the incident report and documentation and kind of the overall information gathering aspect of when you have an insurance claim. If anybody's gone through that, there's a lot of people who want a lot of bits of information, and we can serve a very active role in making sure you have everything you need, from estimates, daily notes and updates, photos, sketches, drawing logs. All of that is captured during the normal course of business for us. And we can share it in a variety of platforms to help you with making sure that you have all that information and data for your incident report. So this is let me go back. This is a good image of infrared thermography. And so if you look at the image on the left, looks like a normal wet ceiling. But when you look at it through the lens of an infrared camera, you can see that it's not just the tape joints in the drywall that are affected. It's actually a greater surface area of the ceiling. And so using some of these tools can really help us understand, okay, exactly what's wet. If you looked at this scenario, you just walked into the room and you looked at it and you go, oh, it's not that wet. Maybe we'll just let it dry out on its own. But then if you look at it through the lens of an infrared camera, you can actually see everything that's wet. And that might change your position as a resident manager or board member on whether or not you want to make the call to have somebody come in and professionally dry it. In my perspective, you would always want to call us to professionally dry everything, but I understand that I might be idealistic in that. So it's always the question of liability, right? Like, you never want to open yourself up to making a decision that results in a condition that is more hazardous. And therefore, like, that's why we show up for free, is so then that way we can help you make those decisions as you're walking through it. Our estimating platforms, whether they're time and material or Xactimate, which is unit cost, are very detailed. You can see on the left where we have a scope of work of all the things that need to happen, prices, how that's all broken out. And then sketching, we have a number of different sketching tools that are available to us. This is from Xactimate, but we have another mobile platform that we're using for sketching as well. So then that way, in the COVID environment where insurance personnel are trying to work more remotely, I'm not saying that they won't fly and won't show up when they need to, but if they can resolve a claim scenario and they have all the information they need, a lot of the times they will do that, right? Who wants to hop on a plane in COVID world when you don't have to? So we capture all this information. And this is something that all restorers do. And then just kind of a baseline documentation. You can see that this is what's affected. Here's all the meter readings. We capture all this information in the course of business, and this becomes great stuff for when you're trying to put together your incident reports or trying to resolve your claim. We do a solid job of breaking things down by individual units as well. We're not alone. Almost every restoration company will do that for you. But making sure that you have the documentation that you need to resolve your claim is of utmost importance. So that's when I put it through my personal grinder and thought about what board members what I would want to know if I were a board member. That was kind of it. And then just to close for us, I opened with our mission statement. We're pretty, we take great pride in our service and what we provide to our community. And for us, it's not always about going out and making money. I know a lot of the times we are a business, we have to go out and we have to make money because that's what puts food on the table for our employees. but we're very, very quick to stop and do certain things that we know benefit our communities that don't always result in a financial gain for us. The image on the upper left, this is Greg and Megan in our Maui office. When we had the brush fires in 2018, we recognized that there was, one of the communities that was affected was, the Lahaina Luna Road community. And that is all working class, kind of, I don't want to say low income, but not high income. These are not Kanapali hillside homes. And we recognize, look, like these are the type of people that aren't going to call us and say, hey, can you come clean this smoke out of our house? And so what we did is we packaged up smoke odor counteractant and delivered it to everybody so they could take care of their own homes. This screenshot of this video was taken last week. Some of our boys were on the North Shore in Oahu, and there was streams that got clogged with debris. And so they just pulled over on the side of the road and helped a bunch of people clear some streams. This was actually a cool story where a resident manager had amassed a huge collection of bikes that were abandoned on his property. And so we facilitated making sure those bikes got to a nonprofit so they could get repurposed and used for, kids in need who didn't have a bike. And it's actually a really cool program where they're taught how to maintain the bikes. And then this is just probably one of my favorite fun images from the field. This is one of our Maui crew. We had removed the flooring, and this is one of our customers, and she had, her father, who had installed the piece of the flooring, had written her like a nice note on the bottom of the floor, knowing she was going to change the floor someday. And we were able to find that. It was just a really, really cool moment. That is what I had for today. And just kind of to reiterate our services. So we kind of have 4 different divisions. We perform mitigation services, which is everything to get a property clean, safe, and dry. We also have a full service reconstruction division, meaning that whatever we take out, we will put back. And I know it's not the funnest side of our business, but from the customer service side, there's nothing more frustrating from a customer's perspective to have a restorer show up and remove something and then be like, cool, I'll see you later. Good luck with that. You want somebody who has the skills and expertise to put it back. We also do hazardous materials abatement in-house. We have staff that is trained both on the inspection side, so we can go and pull samples and identify what's hot or not. And then on the abatement side, we can actually go execute that work. And that was really important to me because so often I would get frustrated in trying to subcontract abatement people. And through no fault of their own, they're out a week, 2 weeks, and it's just a simple sealing scrape that we want to get done. Now we can do those services in-house. And last but not least, we have a division of our company that's dedicated towards contents and personal property. So we can physically move personal property to replace the floor, or if you have a fire, the service gets more robust and we can show up, provide comprehensive contents inventory of what's salvageable, unsalvageable. We can pack those items up, store them at our warehouse while reconstruction's being done, and then put them back when we're all said and done. That is everything that I had for you today. Thank you again for the opportunity to present.
You're welcome, Anthony. Consavelimana. I'd like to thank both the speakers today, Anthony and Sue, for what they provided today. Again, if you have some questions before she spins the wheel, because I know you guys are going to disappear as soon as she gives the prizes away, feel free to type in any questions. You can always email them to me or one of the other management executives here, but we're more than happy to answer any questions. And I believe Anthony is going to send out his PDF, and maybe even Sue will be kind enough to share her PDF, and we'll get it out to everybody. But it looks like we're about to spin, and somebody's going to get some money. So Leimana, take it away.
Everybody, again, just a show of gratitude to Hawaiiana management for hosting this event, and we are very appreciative to have Sue Savio, of course, present, as well as Anthony, and then all of your time. It's been very valuable, and so we wanted to make sure that not only did you have the education to leave with as a takeaway, but also some fabulous gifts. And so all attendees will be receiving a gift regardless, a Premier gift. And then we have the color wheel. Everybody who registered, your names are in there. And our first gift that we're going to be doing is a $10 Starbucks card with our nice, awesome Premier Restoration coffee mug. So Kira, if you can be Vanna White and spin for us. Sound effect and all.
And that noise was on purpose.
Yay! You are winning. Congratulations. We thank you so much for staying online with us. The next gift that we're going to be giving away again is another Starbucks gift card for $10 value with, again, the Premier Restoration coffee mug. So Kira, take it away. Okay, our next one is our 20 can Premier Restoration cooler. And then on top of that, it's a $20 gift card for Foodland. So your beverage of choice to go inside your cooler. And Kira, we're ready. All right. Okay, we are back to the Starbucks gift card, $10 value with our Premier Restoration mug. Go for it. It's so exciting, this wheel. So we have another Starbucks gift card and Premier mug. Take it away, Kira. We're to our cooler, 20 can cooler with our Foodland gift card. Let's spin it, Vanna. All right, Jeff Maxey, President Master. Okay, our last Starbucks gift card, $10 value with our Premier mug. Go for it. Mike Rose, congratulations. Awesome. Okay, so we have another 20 can cooler with a Foodland gift card valued at $20. Go ahead, Kira. Oh, Frank, awesome. That's President Manager. Alrighty, guys, we're at our last prize and compliments of our General Manager of Operations. He is throwing in a $100 gift card from Foodland plus a 20-ounce cooler or 20 can cooler. So thank you, Brent.
I expect to drink the beer with you guys.
Yeah, we're going to put your place. All right, Good job, guys. So I will follow up with everybody who had registered with their emails, and then also the winners. Congratulations. And then Michael, if you want to go ahead, or actually Anthony, we have some questions coming in. Do you want to address any of them?
Sorry, I'll unmute myself. Sue, there was one in the chat for you, and it was from Frank. And Frank asked, he said, a question regarding water penetration from an exterior window. Who would be responsible, homeowner or AOAO? You're muted, Sue. You did the same thing I did.
She remuted herself.
Oh, hit it again.
Hitting it.
There you go. All right. Oh,
I'm all right now?
You're good. You're good. Yeah.
Okay. So it's going to depend upon what the bylaws say. Some bylaws say that windows are the responsibility of the unit owner. Others say it is an association responsibility. If it's usually just caulking that's leaking, that 99% of the time is the unit owner, but you can't answer this question without reading your bylaws. Sorry, not clear cut. It's condo land.
Condo land for the win. And then Lynn had another question. Where is it? It is right here. Is there an average known lifespan for cast iron pipes, and are there any actions that can be taken to extend the lifespan, urethane liners, et cetera, et cetera? I know Sue's giggling, so she hasn't. I'll let you go first, Sue, and then I'll kick in my two.
Well, they don't last forever, just like we don't last forever. You can line them, which maybe get you another 8 to 10 years. Not all can be lined though. And unfortunately, most of our reserve studies are done for 20 years at a time, and nobody thinks 40, 35, 40, 50 years out when they're dead and gone, and we have to now have money for the pipes. And so, of course, everybody goes and borrows to do it. And yeah, there is no guaranteed lifetime, but the more you take care of them in the beginning, the more you clean them out, the more. I have a condo that's over 60 years old, and they never have a water overflow thing. They've never replaced their pipes yet. I keep on asking them, why the hell, how are you doing this? And they say, we've been cleaning them out from day one, Sue, and they've extended the life of their pipes. Most of us ignore them. So that's my comment. So turn it over to you, Anthony.
And I don't think I disagree with anything Sue said. Kind of more directly, 30 to 50 years, depending on a lot of different factors. You know, Sue kind of gave you an outside example of a building that's been, you know, gotten 60 years out of their pipes. But if you wanted to pursue this further, really what I would do is, you know, if you have a plumber that you really enjoy working with, have them come and inspect, and they'll be able to give you an idea of the condition of the pipes. And that will tell a lot of the story as to whether or not lining is a viable option for you or not, and all sorts of things like that. If you're short on who to call, I think I gave you my email. We can start a dialogue, and you can, I'll turn you on to who I would trust to do that.
All right, you guys, it's 10 o'clock. If there's any other questions, maybe we can go through those and email them out. I can't thank the guest speakers enough. Sue, again, from Insurance Associates, Anthony from Premier Restoration. But a big shout out. She's really quiet and shy, and she's in the back for Leimana. She's the one that set this up, right? She's the one that put this all together. And she's the one that got Premier Restoration to do all these raffle prizes. That was more than amazingly generous. And thank you again for that. And with that, I appreciate everybody attending. We will have another one in June 19th. Hopefully everybody will attend that one. We will send out information on that down the road, and we may have Leimana put that one together for me too, since she's so good at it. It'll be her new side job. But thank you, everybody. I appreciate your time.
Aloha.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.